Okay.
Yeah, please start.
An alternate and more basic version was needed to utilize the novelty of this versatile block in peripheral setups as well that are technologically challenged. So 2 points were marked: the anterior superior iliac spine and the pubic tubercle, and a line was drawn over the inguinal ligament. The femoral artery was marked, and the point of needle insertion was 5 centimeter medial to the anterior superior iliac spine on this line. If a dual peripheral nerve stimulator was used for this block, if quadriceps contraction was noticed, then the needle was reinserted 1 centimeter laterally on the inguinal crease. Benefits of giving a ping block are that no unexpected vital structures are present in the direct trajectory of the needle. Peripheral nerve stimulator helps in keeping away from the femoral nerve. Correct placement of the needle can be confirmed by the bony endpoint, so keeping a depth check is not an issue. And repeated aspirations have always saved from an advertent vascular puncture or ureteric puncture, as in this case. Now, Trans and Philip Payne et al. In 2019 did this cadaveric study on 15 cadavers in which they injected the dye as Payne block and then further dissected the hip joint to study its spread and concluded, confirming the true pericapsular nature of this block, capturing the spread of dye along the course of all the articular branches of femoral, obturator, and accessory obturator nerve. Next is the article that was published in Scandinavian Journal in 2018 by Nielsen and Winston, in which they did a cadaveric study similar to Trans et al. To study and prove that dye injected in the iliopsoas plane, that is in between the iliopsoas muscle and the iliofemoral ligament, will cover all the articular branches, high and low, of the femoral nerve, thus producing a more motor sparing blockade of the hip joint from the femoral innervation, as evident from no reduced maximum force of knee extension post blockade, and thus reduced risk of falling. This came to be known as the iliopsoas plane block. The plane for this block was same as the Peng block, but the conclusions of the study included the high and low articular branches of only femoral nerve. Also, there were few limitations to this study, that the sample size was too small and the amount of injected, that is 5 ml, was too low for an interfacial plane block, though MRI did prove the expected spread. Now, erector spinae plane block is an additional block that has been described in providing analgesia for hip surgeries. It was first described by Ferrero in 2016 for treatment of thoracic neuropathic pain. Since all or majority of the studies that had been done on ESP are at thoracic levels, these guys, Tulgar et al., took the onus to publish a case report of a single case of 86-year-old lady undergoing left total hip replacement who was given ESP block at L4 vertebral level along with general anesthesia for the surgery. They concluded that lumbar ESP could be as effective as epidural, psoas compartment block, and quadratus lumborum block for hip surgery like total hip replacement with lower risk of clinical application. Tulgar et al. In 2019 also published another article in the Journal of Clinical Anesthesia where they elaborated the mechanism of action of how an erector spinae plane block works when given at different levels in the vertebral column, that is upper thoracic, lower thoracic, or lumbar. The thoracic transverse process extend up to a length of only 2 to 3 centimeters laterally beyond the spinous process, whereas lumbar transverse process extend up to a length of 4 to 6 centimeters laterally. Thus, the thoracic ESPs act as extended paravertebral blocks, whereas the lumbar ESPs act as clinically psoas compartment blocks. This was a cadaver study done by Carlin et al. In 2016, published in the British Journal of Anesthesia, where they compared the spread of injected dye and nerve involvement among the 3 different approaches to quadratus lumborum block, that is the QL1, QL2, and QL3 blocks. Their work consistently highlighted that the drug, if given as an anterior approach to quadratus lumborum block, seeps through around the psoas muscle and into the paravertebral space, involves the upper lumbar spinal nerves, that is the lumbar plexus, and thus can be a good option for providing post-op analgesia in hip surgery patients. To back up this conclusion, Kukreja et al. In 2019 published in the RAPM journal about the study done on 80 patients who were to undergo primary total hip arthroplasty and were randomly divided into 2 groups. One in which pre-op anterior QL block was given on the affected side in lateral decubitus before spinal anesthesia, and the other control in which no block was given other than the central neuraxial blockade. Their primary objective was to study the post-op pain scores at 12, 24, and 48 hours and also assess the opioid consumption in first 48 hours. However, no study has still now been conducted in which after giving the anterior QL block, quadriceps muscle strength has been studied as a primary objective. So potential spread of the drug to lumbar plexus still remains a fact at large to be proven, and thus it cannot be considered as an equipotent alternate to lumbar plexus block for providing hip analgesia. Although the fact that giving lumbar plexus block in primary total hip arthroplasty patients through lateral or Shamrock's approach, while withdrawing the needle, depositing some amount of drug in the anterior QL plane will definitely add to the quality of analgesia provided by the regional anesthesia in these patients. Latest prospect guidelines that have been released in 2001. They were first published in 2005 and then later updated in 2010. Now, they include RCTs and meta-analysis published between 2010 and December 2019, assessing post-op pain using analgesic, anesthetic, surgical, or other interventions. They have emphasized that paracetamol, COX-2 inhibitors, and NSAIDs in peri-op period have a very important role to play in pain management of these patients. This is the table that includes the overall recommendations for pain management undergoing hip arthroplasty as per the prospect guidelines. And we can see that they have included the grade A level of evidences for paracetamol, NSAIDs, and dexamethasone, whereas grade D level of evidence has been shown for single shot fasciitis block or local infiltration analgesia. Dexamethasone was not recommended in the previous guidelines due to procedure specific evidence. Based on recent evidence, 8 to 10 mg IV has been recommended. This is another table which include analgesic interventions that are not recommended for pain management in patients undergoing hip arthroplasty as per the prospect guidelines. These include lateral femoral cutaneous nerve block, anterior QL block, femoral nerve block, lumbar plexus block, local infiltration anesthesia as an infusion or repeated injections, and epidural analgesia. For the peripheral nerve blockade, prospect guidelines say that a single shot peripheral nerve block have previously been recommended, but 26 new studies were available for review this time. An intervention studied were femoral nerve block, lumbar plexus, psoas compartment block, fascia iliaca block, lateral femoral cutaneous, and anterior QL. In conclusion, they said that the lumbar plexus, femoral nerve block, psoas compartment, QL, and fascia iliaca lowered the post-op pain and morphine consumption, whereas lateral femoral cutaneous nerve block did not. The lumbar plexus block is a deep block with potential risk, and femoral nerve block has a significant incidence of muscle weakness. So in recent meta-analysis, no more faults were reported with fascia iliaca block, which is recommended as a preferred nerve block when a nerve block is indicated for total hip arthroplasty. So these prospect guidelines may be a little disappointing in the eyes of today's well-equipped and highly advanced techno enthusiasts like us. But then there are also articles like these by Memsudis et al. Published in the August issue of RAPM journal, which brings into light the evidence-based international expert consensus after assessing RCTs and observational studies done in last half century regarding the impact of use of peripheral nerve blocks in total hip arthroplasties and total knee arthroplasty surgeries. They brought forth a more elaborate answer to the question, does the use of peripheral nerve block influence post-op complications in patients undergoing total knee arthroplasty? They also they answered that the use of peripheral nerve blocks was associated with significantly decreased odds for numerous major post-op complications. And they also put forth a recommendation of evidence level moderate to strong that peripheral nerve blocks for perioperative management should be considered for total hip arthroplasty when there is no contraindication. Now, after studying all these RA techniques for providing hip anesthesia or analgesia, if we have to choose any one particular block or combination of blocks as the best among the lot, we cannot. There are multiple factors that contribute to making this choice, as they can be patient specific. For example, we have most of the patients for these hip surgeries are opta nanogeriatric patients. So with a lot of cardiovascular comorbidities. So not all the blocks may be feasible. We may have to give general anesthesia to this patient, or positioning of the patient may be a little difficult. They can be procedure specific. For example, a PENG block which does not include the lateral femoral cutaneous nerve, we may have to give multiple blocks to the patient for giving complete anesthesia for the procedure. So femoral nerve block and lateral femoral cutaneous nerve block are the best and most easy to perform as an on-arrival block for any hip fracture. Preoperatively, femoral nerve block for positioning or lumbar plexus with sacral plexus block for patients with cardiovascular compromise, and postoperatively, suprainguinal fasciitis compartment block with continuous catheter can be an option. So site-specific, loco-regional, and tailored anesthesia is the way ahead in the 21st century. Thank you.